Hello and welcome to this video in which I will explain the financial ratios after I have uh, developed all my financial statements. The financial ratios can only be discussed after the financial statements. As a matter of fact, the accountants prepare the financial statements, and what you need as managers to look at is at the performance and compare our performance with companies in the industry. In this case, in your assignment, you have to compare that, and you have some benchmark indicators there to compare with against the industry. Well, let's actually look at the calculations and what is the significance of each of this video. Bear with me because it's going to be a little bit longer, this video, than others, okay? But I will explain all financial ratios in one video. All right, let's have a look. I have actually put all the formulas here that you already have, okay, in your virtual learning environment. I have put here the gross profit, the operating profit. We already calculated that, the gross profit divided by the revenue. And how is it expressed? The formula is already there for you to use, all right? So the gross profit, I already know because I have calculated that before, that you calculated the gross profit margin was 58.8 and the operating margin was 8.3. I'm just going to copy and paste that because I've already calculated that and I've explained the value of them. So 58.8% and 8.3%. I will actually discuss the comparisons with the industry later. Okay. Let's actually go, and because you know already what is gross profit and what is the operating profit. Let's actually talk about the return on the capital employed and what it means. Okay. So the return on the capital employed is about your assets. It is said you have to make your assets sweat. Okay. It means an efficient, productive use of your assets. So if you use your assets, so it's mean if you don't use your assets effectively, that means that you have a lot of capital that you are not using, okay, effectively. So, and of course, and in this case, you want this percentage to be higher. But again, you have to compare with the benchmarks of the industry, okay? The industry, it may be that and during an economic downturn, that percentage could be very low because demand is low. Then, of course, there's no point of comparing that against another economic environment. You have to compare against the industry in the current situation. So compare like for like. So how do you calculate the return on capital employed? Okay. It is the operating profits, which you have in your statement of financial position, in your statement of profit and loss, and you have to divide that by your total assets, subtracting the current liabilities. So it means your assets, and all the capital you're using also debt, but it's more for the long term. You take out anything that is for the short term, which is the current liabilities. So let's actually see what the gross profit, operating profit is. The operating profit, as you can see, is 2045. Operating profit equals 2045. I could copy and paste, but I'm just going to do that. Divided by the total assets, which I have in the statement of financial position, is 2212. I have to first put my operating profit divided by my total assets, 22112, minus my current liabilities, 1985. That gives me 10.2%. It's a percentage simply because I have clicked on percentage here and it gives it to me as a percentage. So, and let's go for the current ratio. The current ratio, and it's the current assets divided by the current liabilities. What does it mean? The current assets are things that I could actually get rid of or actually use very quickly. It's not like long-term assets because equipment or anything like that takes time. So imagine I have to cover something that I need to pay urgently. Okay, this is very much like urgency. And so I need to pay something that without that I cannot continue. Okay, it's a current liability. I need to pay that. So, and I have to see how much I have now, like cash or inventory or things that I can actually convert into cash quickly to cover that liability. That is what we call the current ratio. So it means the ability to be able, in a matter of urgency, to actually make use of assets that I can use now to pay liabilities that I need to pay now, right? So, and it's very simple. You just simply take your current assets, which you already have here in the statement of financial position. Your current assets are 3232 divided by your current liabilities. I have to look at what are my current liabilities. What I think it was 1985. Yeah, 1985. And gives me 1.62 or 1.6 if you like. Okay. So because it's expressed as 1.621, I will just put it 1.621. So that means I have 1.6 pounds for every pound that I owe. So is it good? Well, I have to compare that with the industry. But it shouldn't be, the bottom line, it shouldn't be less than 1-to-1. Are there companies that are on less than 1-to-1? The answer is yes, they are, but they are not in a, I would say, they are in a liquidity type of problem. So it is a liquidity type of problem. It's not a good problem to have, okay? And then, of course, you will try to improve that current ratio. But at the moment, it's not too bad, as you can see. The current ratio is actually 1.621, which is actually something that we can actually, it's manageable. The inventory turnover, okay? What is the inventory turnover? So I'm going to put it very simply like that. Imagine that you're selling oranges. You buy oranges and you go to the market stall, your market stall, and you are the perfect business person. You actually buy 1,000 oranges, and at the end of the day, you have not an orange left. So that means you're turning your stock, your inventory every day. So you don't have anything left for the next day. So this is, if you work 365 days, okay, nobody does it, but imagine you work 365 days, you will be turning your inventory 365 days. Every day you are turning it over. So, and then you're turning it over 365 times, right? Okay. So we can calculate it by times, or we can calculate it by days. In this case, we're going to do it by days. So every 25 days, I turn over my inventory. So is that possible in, let's say, in fast food? It is not, okay, because fast food is actually fast. Okay, you are turning that, you actually have beef or have rolls, they could not stay for too long. So you have to turn your inventory very quickly. But this is, if it's a factory, you have parts, you have a lot of inputs to the production that take longer, okay, because it is not easy, right, to get those supplies, could come from different parts. In this case, normally the shorter the period, the better, but you have to compare that with industry, of course. Now, what the first thing I need to know is my average inventory. The average inventory is an average. So I don't know exactly how much I have, but then as a rule of thumb, I can actually have the closing inventory plus the opening inventory and divide that by 2. Okay, as you can see here, okay, my average inventory is my opening inventory plus my closing inventory divided by 2. So I need to know that, and I can see that value from my trial balance. So my values are opening is 720, closing is 810. It doesn't matter which goes first because it's an average. 720 plus 810 divided by 2. Let's actually calculate that. Let's put it here. 810 plus 720. I make this, I add these two values and then divide by 2, and I have 765. This is my average inventory that I'm going to put it here just in case I can forget. So now, and this is my average inventory, but I need now also my cost of sales. What is my cost of sales? I get my cost of sales in the statement of profit and loss, which is 10120. So I have 765 divided by 10120, and I have to multiply this value. Forgot, I need to multiply this value that I divide by 365, and I have 27.59 days. I can actually reduce the number of decimal points because I have too many. I'm going to have 27.6 days. It's around 28 days. So that is my inventory turnover. So it's how quickly I am turning over my inventory. Let's go for the next financial ratio, which is gearing. Gearing is more about financial management. Okay, it's not so much about performance. It's very much about the company. Sometimes it's the deliberate decision. Some companies in the past used to be highly geared. What does it mean, highly geared? The Americans say highly leveraged. That means that they take a lot of debt. When debt is easy to get and the interest is low, then many companies in the past, particularly privately equity companies, actually got a lot of debt. We're actually financed massively by debt. So what is a prudent, percentage? So how much debt and how much equity? It should be around 50%, okay? And the industry says here it's about around 50%. Well, how do I calculate that? Simply, I need to know my debt. By debt means long-term debt, which is by bank loan that I have to pay over a number of years. It is in the statement of financial position. And my bank loan is 8389. So it's 8389 divided by my debt, 8389, plus my equity. The equity is easy to find here again. Okay, my equity is 11838. 11838. 11838. And that gives me the value of 41%. As you can see, this company is a little bit more prudent than the industry. So it means it's less geared, okay? Is it good? Is it bad? Well, this is a deliberate decision. You can only comment on that. The last one is the interest cover. The interest cover, okay, normally it's not such an important type of ratio. Again, it's more of a financial type of thing, okay, because it actually tells us whether this company can pay their interest. If a company has difficulty to pay their interest, then they may be bankrupt, okay, because they're not able to actually pay the bank even the interest. Imagine that you have a credit card and you are not able to pay just the interest on the credit card, not even the balance. Now you have a problem to pay the interest. So, and then it's actually said how many times my profit can cover my interest, because that is done on a yearly basis. So my operating profit I have, which is here, is the operating profit, which is I have here from my operations, 2045, and my finance costs are 180. These are two values that I need: the profit from operations and the finance cost, which is the interest that I'm paying. 2045 divided by 180. That gives me 11 times, around 11. I can just put 11 times. So you can put that it's 11 times. You can put that it's 41%. You can put here, oh, I forgot the trade payables. Okay, the trade payables, forgot the trade payables, which is very simple as well. It's just the trade payables that you take from your trial balance, 1250. Divided by your cost of sales, which is, if I'm not mistaken, is 10120. And this is expressed in days, so I have to multiply by 365. Give me 45 days, which I'm going to actually reduce that to 45 days. So I'm going to put here 45 days. Let's actually make a comment, okay? So you need to actually make a comment of that. 58.8 is less than the industry average, but I wouldn't be too concerned, but it's very close to the industry average. So the gross profit is actually, you have to make, the only thing you can say is you can actually reduce your cost of sales so that you can improve your gross profit. The operating profit, the same. It's less than the industry, it's 8.3, and the industry is 10%. Again, you need to reduce your distribution costs, your administrative expenses. Have a look at that. What is, how you can actually reduce those costs without affecting, of course, for example, you can reduce marketing expenses, right? And to reduce that. The return on capital employed is substantially less than the industry. So then you are sitting idly on perhaps equipment that you are not using. Maybe you may consider that if you need to actually discontinue some type of equipment or sell plant and so forth to increase your profitability in the bottom line, okay? So perhaps you have to look at that. The current ratio, very close to the industry, so they don't seem to be an issue. They can cover easily their current liabilities with their existing current assets. The trade payables, again, this is, some companies have a deliberate intention not to pay their suppliers on time, and because they want to make use of that cash, so that perhaps this is the use here. Or maybe they have difficulty paying, right? It doesn't seem that there is difficulty paying because the current ratio tells you that there is money there to pay. Maybe more of a deliberate decision. But of course, you have to consider whether to go with the industry, which is 37 days, or to stay with 45 days. Gearing, as I said, is more prudent than the industry. That is not bad or better, but it's very close to the industry, not a matter of concern. The interest cover is 11 times, so very close to 10 times you can comfortably pay your interest, okay? It is said that it shouldn't be less than 5 times, okay? So you're comfortable here as well. Thank you very much, and this is the end of this video about financial ratios. Thank you.